I've just finished an afternoon cup of coffee because why not? I don't plan to start a habit or anything, but I enjoyed it. And now I have some thoughts to share. I'm looking at my YouTube feed, and there's some people responding to a young gentleman who made a vlog or a podcast. I'm not sure how it's classified, but he made a video about racism against white people. Okay, so a lot of people have been responding to what he said, and he said that he was pointing out, showing examples of where people had been basically racist towards white people. These were people who were not white, I guess. These labels are just so blah to me, right? Because I just think we're just human, and if we just stop talking about people in terms of the color of their skin, this could be much less of a thing. But I do understand that some people feel the need and are very much identified with their skin, and I'm not saying that they're wrong. I just can't relate to that. I cannot relate to that. So anyhow, it's very interesting, but like the thought I'm having is like the last post that I just saw, the title of their video was, "Can you be racist to white people?" And it's like, sure you can, but it also does not matter, okay? Because like all you do by showing any type of judgment, any type of bias, any type of exclusionary behavior towards someone on the basis of whatever your reason is, it's your prerogative, and it's showing others who you are. That's all it could ever do. It means nothing about the recipient of whoever that is, whatever your target is. It can never mean anything about the target, And the other thing that comes to mind is I specifically searched up what kind of tweet J.K. Rowling had made, because on my Microsoft Rewards feed, there was mention that she was kind of shrugging off the backlash that she received over a tweet she made, which was taken as being derogatory towards transgender people or women. And again, it's like a whole bunch of people were like talking about how they don't support that, like the actors in the movies, like the Harry Potter actors and things were like feeling the need to speak up and say they don't agree with J.K. Rowling on this topic, that it was wrong, and like all these things. And it's just like, well, people are allowed to have their own thoughts and perspectives, and there are reasons for them to have those thoughts and perspectives. And the fact that someone else could be hurt by what J.K. Rowling says is on them. And it's not because I'm heartless or I lack compassion, and I totally understand why it could be hurtful. But still, it's like, if we keep giving away our power, if we keep saying that we need somebody else to think a certain way about us, we are giving them the power to take away our value. It's never going to work. We have to be sovereign. We have to validate ourselves. So J.K. Rowling is allowed to have an opinion and a perspective that she has. And it doesn't have to mean anything about anyone else. It's her perspective. She is entitled to it. And both of these issues bring me to what's the book by Ruiz? It's what is it? Darn, what is that book? Hold on. The Four Agreements. There's a book called The Four Agreements, and it is by, Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a great book because if you live by these four agreements, all of the stuff that people are arguing about and using as an excuse to feel victimized goes away. Okay? The Four Agreements solves it all. So if you're not familiar with the book, please read it. Please do yourself that beautiful favor. Please do humanity the favor. I highly recommend looking at this book. And if you can't buy the book, you can look up what these 4 agreements are online. And I bet you I can find a post that includes them right here. Here is literally a meme that includes the agreements. So let me pull this up and see what it says. All right. First, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. And I just have to grab my glasses to be able to read these better. Okay, so, right there, we wouldn't even be having these conversations, right? And so be impeccable with your word assures that you're not going to waste anyone's time. You're not going to put your foot in your mouth, that you really know that you're invested in what you're sharing because you've discerned it. You've recognized where you stand on it and why you feel that way. And this means that you're not just like passing along what was told to you or what somebody else's opinion was so that you can fit in with a group of people who you feel are acceptable or popular or are in the right, Okay, here's another one. It's don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Another way to look at this, don't make assumptions. If you have to make an assumption, give a generous assumption. The generous assumption that everybody is doing their best, right? And if you somehow can't see that, here's where you're invited to ask the question. What is your intention? Why do you say that? Or, I'm missing the point. Can you explain this to me in another way at all? What do you need me to know about this? What's most important for you to express when you're saying this? What are you trying to achieve? These are kind of questions that you can use to clarify any misunderstandings, and that's going to save a lot. Okay, so because if we know why J.K. Rowling is saying that, this is her perspective. This is what she feels. Just like anyone who is discriminating against somebody on the basis of their color, using being racist towards whites or whatever. I'm going to just say that because I am Caucasian and I guess it's safer for me to use that if I wanted to be politically correct. But basically, they have reasons to feel that way. Maybe they were brought up in a household, in a neighborhood where this is what was taught to them. And these are the experiences they had, right? Because we live out our beliefs. And if it's passed along in your environment, you will create that reality for yourself, right? Because by the way energy works. And it's that is very valid for those people who are living out that reality. They have a lot of evidence to back that up for themselves. They have no idea that they're creating the evidence themselves by having that belief, So it doesn't make sense to argue on them, Be an example of what is not what they're used to, if anything. Okay, so another one is don't take anything personally. It's so helpful when you step into this. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Meaning somebody is racist against me because of the color of my skin. I'm not taking it personal. It's if they have a judgment against me because of the color of my skin, like the kid that was making a video about it was showing examples of people saying that the whites should die and things like that. And it's like, whoa. But like, I didn't get scared or nervous or feel like I was wrong or feel shame. And maybe that's specifically because when we had this kind of like big eruption, when that like Black Lives Matter movement arose, I took the time to go within myself and meditate on that topic and trace back in my own energy if there was anything that I needed to resolve about those issues for myself. And so it's not going to be possible to make me feel bad about the color of my skin, because I know myself, because I love myself, because I know that I am doing my best, right? I give myself that assumption. Okay, and so I'm not taking it personal if somebody else has that judgment. That's a burden that they live with, not me. And the last one is always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. So, see, that's why I can sit in comfort, because I know I am doing my best, because I know I'm not out here, trying to do things that harm others. I'm not trying to be mean or cause sadness or drama or perpetuate harmful narratives. I am becoming neutral and loving, and that's self-loving. And when I've loved the darkest parts of me, I know that the darkest parts of you are lovable too. So it's really interesting to look out there and see the uproar of these groups of people kind of just like all like hopping on this bandwagon of a way to think or a feel or a narrative, this cancel culture thing, and this like big mobs of people kind of like attacking one for their beliefs. Like do we get that that's exactly what like happened with Hitler and like that whole regime or whatever? Like that's dangerous stuff, like we are all individuals. We don't have to jump on bandwagons, but we do have to be brave enough not to do that. And that's, something for each of us to decide when the time comes. Until we do that, we're still doing our best. Even if we're jumping on a bandwagon, we're doing our best, right? So I'm not going to judge the people who are doing that. I get it. I understand why it's scary to stand on your own. When we look at like the tribal energies that course through some of the more like limbic part of our brains, this tells us that we need to be accepted. This tells us that we need to fit in. So it can be equated to like death to be on your own and to be excluded or to be, canceled. And that's why it's so dangerous to do it to other people. If you just think about that whole thing, it's like, let's just back it off, slow down, know that everyone is doing their best. We remove the part of us that wants to take it personal and know that, if we are taking it personal, let's love that part of ourselves because that's our responsibility. Don't make assumptions, like all somebody else could possibly be doing when they point their finger at us is projecting. That's what they're doing. They're projecting their thought, their perception, their pain onto us. Now, if we feel like it hits a nerve within us, they've just given us a gift. They've showed us where it hurts so we can tend to ourselves. That's our responsibility. But if it doesn't hurt, we don't have to take it, and we don't have to act like a victim to somebody else's projection. And then we don't have to perpetuate it ourselves either. We don't have to throw our projections out on others. If we just step back and start taking responsibility for ourselves. So here's just my thoughts on the whole kind of thing that I see going on in our culture. which I'm not naive about. I understand why it's there. I understand how it's functioning. I understand why it's functioning, and I understand there's a good argument for it to continue functioning that way. And I'm all for that. Like, I'm not saying, like, let's change this right now. I'm saying, like, I see it for what it is. I'm not willing to participate in it. And for anyone else who is not willing to participate in it, these 4 agreements are a wonderful guide to keep you out of it. You know? So tell me what you think. What's your experience with all that kind of stuff?